at Design Summit here in Melbourne. I'm very pleased to be joined by Damian Rogers, who has a fanciful idea that is about getting us to do something fun pretty close to the centre of the city. Hi, Damian.
Hi, how are you, Fenella?
Good. So a surf park at Docklands. That's it?
Yeah, exactly.
How's that come about?
Well, I like to say that I'm not a frustrated surfer first and foremost. I'm an architect who's interested in urban renewal and reinvigorating our waterways in Melbourne. And as we thought about the Docklands, and obviously it's very much about water, we thought about ways of activating the use of the water. And as a result, we thought, well, what better way to do that than to be able to surf on the Docklands.
And so what is it like now, I suppose, when you say activating the space, but also the use of the water? So not obviously there's zero use happening there. It's not enough.
Yeah. I like to parallel a little bit towards Melbourne's laneway culture, where it was that space in between. If you look at the Docklands and its development over the last 20 years, all of the edges have pretty much hit a critical mass in terms of the development scale. But we have this large body of water, all that space in between, that needs to be addressed and needs to be looked at. And I think that if we could find ways of activating that, there'll be a lot of connectivity back towards the whole precinct, which is what the laneways effectively did for Melbourne.
Okay, so the idea, of course, is to come up with the surf park. It's not just a fanciful idea. You've taken it to the next level. Can you give me a sense of what that journey is so far?
Yeah, well, before releasing it to the press, we were working with RUP engineers who did a lot of robust concept engineering just to make sure it was obviously feasible, and putting their name behind it is testament to that. From there, we released to the press, and since then, we've got a lot of global interest, incredible amount of publicity included in that, about the idea. The reason I think that is different to other surf parks proposed is because it's proposed for an urban location. So it's allowed other people to reimagine their cities and think about, well, wow, could you actually surf in the city?
So, but it's not just about whether or not we can actually surf in the city. It's about how do you reinvigorate that space. But it's a kind of how do you bring a community together that couldn't have had that opportunity prior. Surf is not that close here in Melbourne. You've got to drive like an hour and a half to get good surf.
Yeah. And look, it's not just about surfing. And the way I've actually started to look at this now is it's actually a 21st century park, but it's effectively an aquatic centre that you can surf in. So it extends beyond just the surfing community and surf lifesaving. I mean, we imagine sometimes it can just be completely turned off and just becomes a place to swim.
So Docklands has, well, obviously there's the land, then there's the water. Lots of different parties, I imagine, are sort of involved with this that you have to negotiate with. Tell me who they are.
We've got Places Victoria, we've got City of Melbourne, we've got Parks Victoria. We've met all of these people. And we've got to work through them. But as I said, it's very much about a collaborative approach with the government bodies to come up with this design. And the images that we released were very much based on Places Victoria's brief that they'd saw, almost like a design brief that they'd established by speaking to people about what they would like to see on the Docklands. Tourism Victoria have been a great help for us so far in guiding us through the different government bodies, and it's been a really great help so far from them.
Have you had, beyond that, the sort of support that you do get? Why are people so ready to kind of back this idea, do you think?
I think it's because you haven't seen a surfable wave in the city which doesn't have a beach. It's about, the way I like to think about it is it's about alternate ways that we can use our cities. Melbourne has great, cultural, art museums and cafes and restaurants and so forth. But we also are a water-based city. We have the Port Phillip Bay, we have great rivers, and now the Docklands. And I think it's twofold. One, I think that people really want to see how the Docklands could be reinvigorated to its next level. But secondly, it just provides another way to use our cities. It's an active way of using our cities, and that's, I think, exciting for people. Well, it's obviously exciting.
And bringing different types of communities to that space as well, who probably can't access the water that is further out, down towards St Kilda or Brighton or something like that.
Yeah, and I think it creates an interesting sense of place. Melbourne has great places. The city of Melbourne has great places, but this here will be a unique place to be because you'll be able to not only use the wave, but if you're not using the wave, you'll be able to watch it and hear it, and even if you're in a cafe at the other side of the Victoria Harbour, you're going to be able to hear the sounds of the wave, and it's going to create a very unique environment for our city.
How far away is this project from being realised before the surf is up, literally?
I wish you could tell me. But certainly it was never a thought bubble. The intention was that we would hopefully see it built. And the support group we have around us at a very high level is fantastic. I wouldn't have dreamt that the people that are now coming on board would have, and it's certainly going to help us get there.
Who is coming on board though? Obviously we've got government departments and a myriad of them. Who else? Commercial? What happens?
Well, it's going to be a partnership there, but it's very much about finding that balance, because ultimately what I want to see is that it is a public space, and even though that there will be an element where you have to pay to use that wave, I like to sort of akin it to if you go to the beach and you can't surf and you can use some of that beach, you'll still see that as yours, something that is yours. So there will be elements, and we're looking at that in the detailing of the design, that would obviously allow just a public space, and it's very much finding that balance with its feasibility.
So I can learn how to do some tubing pretty soon?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Are you actually a frustrated surfer who can't get enough surf?
Well, I have
in
5
Melbourne?
children, so I'm frustrated. Not having enough time to surf. That's very true. But another real driver for the idea is it takes at least an hour and a half to get down to the coast, and then when you get there, it's sometimes hit and miss as to whether you will be able to surf. So it does make surfing more accessible, and that has great health benefits, I believe, to the greater community. People who haven't surfed before can try it, and it's one of those things, once you do try it, it's pretty easy to get hooked on.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
No, thank
Cheers.
you.